Sing, barren woman who has never had a baby. Fill the air with a song, you who've never experienced childbirth. You're ending up with far more children than all those childbearing women. God says so. Clear the ground for your tents. Make your tents large. Spread out. Think big. Use plenty of rope. Drive the tent pegs deep. You're going to need lots of elbow room for your growing family. You're going to take over whole nations. You're going to resettle abandoned cities. Don't be afraid. You're not going to be embarrassed. Don't hold back. You're not going to come up short. You'll forget all about the humiliations of your youth, and the indignities of being a widow will fade from memory. For your Maker is your bridegroom. His name, God of the angel armies. Your Redeemer is the Holy of Israel, known as the God of the whole earth. You were like an abandoned wife, devastated with grief, and God welcomes you back. One of the things that is happening, and I'm not a prophet nor a son of a prophet to be able to say, aha, here is the golden nugget that we want, but even the blind squirrel can sometimes find the proverbial nut. The thing that seems to be rather obvious to me is that everything is speeding up, everything is quickening. One of my favorite movies has always been The Quickening, where these immortal people were trying to cut off each other's head, and the whole purpose for doing it was to get the power that the other ones had. And when they got that power, they called it the quickening because it just filled them with the power that the one they just vanquished and cut off their head.
There can only be one.
There can only be one. Exactly. You've seen the movie. I have a sense of the compression of it. It was real funny that Paul told me, I guess it was on Thursday or Friday, he said, hey, have you heard the podcast by Chris Valentin on Kairos? And I said, no, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Well, since he told me about that, I've already listened to it 4 times. And I'm sitting here going, he's saying everything about what we are experiencing in so many different ways. There is a speeding up of the process. There is a change in what's happening. The word that's so often translated as fullness of time in both Old and New Testament is the Greek word kairos. And it's not a chronological marking of time, like one day, the next day, the next day. Rather, it is the ushering in of a moment, an event, a season that is divinely appointed for those who are divinely favored. And there is example after example after example throughout the Bible of that happening. But the thrust of it is that we are potentially and probably in a kairos time right now. And I will probably even share some of this evening because it's just really resonating quite strongly in me, and it's so interesting that it comes out of Mark as well. But we're at a time where that which would typically take a longer period to happen is going to be done in a much shorter period. And even with this building, even with what's happened in Leland right now, even what's happening in the lives of many of us right now, there is this compression where what would typically take 20 or 30 years to do, all of a sudden takes place in a day, a week, or a month. And this is appearing to be a kairos moment, where the shortening of time for the divine to take place with those who have been favored by him is going to play out. I am excited about it, more excited than I've been in a long time because of the potential. It's not about going after people who are homeless or who are drug addicts. It's about changing the very culture of the city and the nation that we live in. Trump being elected, Brexit taking place, weren't just aberrations. I think there's indications of some of what's taking place in the kairosness playing out. Things that shouldn't happen, happening, and happening quickly. So, I'm going to give you a few minutes if you'd like to just roam through the area.